visible?
Yes, sir. It's going to
Okay.
start.
Yeah. Now it's visible. Are you able to see my the first
Yes, sir.
first screen?
It's
Yeah.
perfect clear. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay. So I initially told Professor Reddy that I will be giving talk in form of a tab. I would prefer to do a board work, but somehow there is some difficulty in tab, so it got so I have to present slides. So I am presenting slides along with some notes from the tab which would be helpful in this context. So. Um, so today my talk is, as Mamta Madam told, today my talk is quantum information and quantum entanglement in short, and we will talk about qubits and multi-qubit system, and I will try to give you the entire picture of quantum information in a sense that what are the things that are more essentials and what are the things that are responsible for making this area really worth pursuing. So I had been I had been working in quantum information for last 16 years and for last 16, 17 years. And my students are also have graduated in quantum information. So, so I, how I am planning this talk. So the planning of the talk is as follows. So I will try to give the basic idea of what is information and how one goes from the how to quantify information and how one goes from the idea of information in classical information theory and beyond Shannon entropy to quantum effects. So this transition is interesting. So and what are the quantum effects that makes quantum information much more exotic. So we will discuss about this superposition and entanglement. So now entanglement, when we talk about the entanglement, we will also talk about we will first talk about superposition, then after that how the superposition, what exactly we mean by superposition, how then when we talk about entanglement, then we will also talk about three different aspects of entanglement. Within the entanglement, I will in very short, but I will be talking about three different aspects. One is the quantification, another is the detection of entanglement, and third is the what we can do with the entanglement. That means how we can use entanglement as a resource for the information processing task or computing task. So these are the two things that makes quantum information really different from the classical information theory, and because of these two things we do see some advantages, as not some, I should not, it's an understatement. Many advantages that of things that we cannot do in classical information theory, but we will be able to do with the help of quantum information theory, right? The thing who is solely responsible for this part thing is the superposition and entanglement. So next is possibilities in quantum, which brings us to the possibilities in quantum information theory. So with the help of entanglement as a resource, what are the things that we can do, which has not been done before, right? So that we together call as the possibilities in quantum information theory, right? So now the next part that I will be talking about is impossibilities in quantum information theory. See, there are certain things which we can do in quantum information theory, and there are certain things we cannot do. Now, the things that we cannot do in quantum information theory makes quantum information more secure, private, and permanent. So it is one of my favorite topics. So impossibilities in quantum information theory, the things that you cannot do, and is not a curse, but it's a kind of a boon in the sense that it makes your information more secure, private, and permanent. So we will also talk about. We'll just try to give a gist of the ideas on this one, because each of these topics are huge areas. Huge areas means each of these, for example, if you take teleportation, one of the possibilities in quantum information theory, there are thousands of papers in archive on teleportation, and I have done many works on teleportation itself. So similarly, in impossibilities, you will also see there are many operations which are impossible, and there are huge research going in each of these areas. Now, and finally, I will try to summarize the thing. So now I try to start from very basic idea. So if I give you this is my favorite way of getting into information. So whenever I give talk, I just start with these three examples on this on in this context. One of the example is sun rises in the east. Another example is there will be if ring for the phone is going to ring within a half an hour time, and another is there will be snowfall in Hyderabad. Now, if you look at these three statements, so which is most certain? As you can see, the sun rises in the east. And which is impossible? Almost impossible. Let's say impossible. There will be snowfall in Hyderabad, right? So because of its geographical position. So these two events, for these two events, when we try to calculate the probability of these two events, the first one's probability is one, and the second one probability will be close to zero, close to zero. And what about the median one? The phone may ring in half an hour or may not ring in half an hour. So it is most random event, correct? Yeah. So because of this randomness, there is an associated uncertainty with this event, right? So there is a certain amount of certainty in the first and the third statement, whether it is certain to occur and whether it is impossible to occur. So there is a certain amount of certainty in the first and the third statement, whereas the second statement is actually most random. The phone may ring in half an hour or may not ring in half an hour. So since this is random, so there is a and the probability will be half, is very close to half. There is a lot of uncertainty associated with it. Is this clear? So there is a lot of uncertainty associated with it. Now, so there should be some way by which we will be able to quantify the uncertainty present in the system. Now, people started thinking in different directions. So how to quantify the uncertainty present in the system? Or say there is a randomness present in the system. So there is a physics way of doing things is that people they use entropy to calculate the randomness present in the system, right? Yes, so they use not Shannon entropy, they use entropy, Boltzmann entropy, or other entropies to understand the randomness present in the system. Now, coming to the perspective of information theory, let us take another example, right? Another example where, say, I am today I am just giving you the talk and consider myself as I am considering myself as the system A, right? And you are on the other side, you are listening to me and consider yourself to be the system B. Now, when both of us are before the talk, there is a lot of uncertainty in my mind that how the talk will happen. And similarly, there is a how I am going to give the talk, how the students or the audience is going to react with me. All these kinds of questions are bothering me, and I'm thinking that there is a lot of uncertainty in my mind. And similarly, there is a lot of uncertainty in your mind that how the talk is going to be. Now, once we start interacting with each other, what happens to the uncertainty? The uncertainty gets reduced. Why? Because the information is started flowing from A to B and B to A. Once two individuals or two systems starts interacting with each other, there is a flow of information. There is a flow of information that is happening from one system to another. And as a consequence of that, the uncertainty in each of these systems are getting reduced. Is getting reduced. Now, So there is a connection. This actually tells you that uncertainty and informations are both of them are actually measuring the same thing, and there will be one formula which will suffice to measure both the uncertainty and information present in uncertainty and information. So for the system A, whenever the uncertainty is getting reduced because of the flow of information, so whatever is measuring the uncertainty is also measuring the information. So one simple standard formula for the uncertainty is for the measuring of the information is given by Shannon, which is minus summation pi log py. This is which is we call as the Shannon entropy. Now, next, so this is something that all of us know from our graduate days, that this is what is Shannon entropy, and how does it quantify classical information. All these are known. So now there is something that we are going to go beyond the Shannon entropy, which is we'll see what is coming. Now, the quantum information is a very interesting subject which comes at the intersection of physics, mathematics, and computer science. And because there is the information now that I will be talking about, information is no longer a mathematical or abstract quantity. It's whether information is physical or not. So it is interesting. So these are the three questions that that comes to our mind: whether this information is a abstract mathematical entity, or it is a physical thing, or and what is quantum information? Is it the information present in the quantum system? If it is a information present in a quantum system, then it will be this something new, right? And information is no longer an abstract mathematical entity. And if I say information is physical, then what exactly we mean by that? So the first step towards understanding the information being physical is the quantum information, right? So, and also, if you have any questions, let me know. You can ask me at the middle of the talk. I will be happy to answer your question. So, hello, am I audible?
Sir, yes, sir. There is a request actually from one of the participants that they want to hear a lot from you about entanglement. Hope you will include that part also in your
Yeah,
lecture.
yes, I will talk about entanglement, but I will come to the entanglement one after the.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
So here is the, as you are mentioning, there are two things I will be talking about: superposition and entanglement, right? So first, let's talk about the superposition. Then I will slowly go, because if you understand superposition, then you can understand entanglement. I will slowly go into the entanglement. So superposition. So right. So a quantum state can be always be written as in this form. Why it is written in this form, we'll come to that. This is an expression of a pure quantum state, a composite, a single qubit system. Now it is a superposition of two states, spin called 0 to be as the spin up and 1 to be as the spin down. So why an arbitrary quantum state can be represented in this way? This is you need to understand that, and then comes the mixed state part. So there is, and I will come to the concept of the mixed states slowly. Okay. Now this is an pictorial representation of a Bloch sphere. A state psi is represented on a pure state is a point on the surface of the sphere, whereas a mixed state is a point inside the sphere. So any state can be written as rho I n dot sigma in the Pauli basis, so that if n is modulus of n is equal to 1, that means its unit length, it is lying on the surface and it is a pure state. And otherwise it is otherwise if mod n is less than 1, it is a mixed state. So what do they exactly physically mean? We will come to this. So let's begin with a simple experiment which is called Stern-Gerlach experiment. So Stern-Gerlach experiment is an experiment where we have a furnace and the silver atoms are coming out of the furnace, and they are subjected to an uniform magnetic field which is aligned in the sigma z direction. and inhomogeneous magnetic field. And what actually you are observing over here, you are observing that there are two dots, but the interesting part is that the classical prediction to this is like this. Now, instead of this coming out to be, there are two dots that are coming out, right? There are two dots that are coming out, which is plus mu or minus mu, right? So, let me show you some. Just a second. Yeah. So the first, so this the so you, one has to understand what is the departure, how the quantum mechanics is how the quantum mechanics, what is the foundational pillar of the quantum information. Because to understand that, it is important to understand what we get out of the Stern-Gerlach experiment, because then we will be able to understand what is superposition. So as I told you, electrons are classical spinning objects. The magnetic moment is going to be realized is a continuous range. But instead of that, there are two spots are observed, and one is in the up orientation, another is the down orientation, and call them as SZ up and SZ down, SZ plus or SZ minus. Now, the interesting part is that this is the deep so there is a quantization of the thing. So there is a departure from the classical way of understanding thing. This is the first departure. The next departure appears when we apply a sequential Stern-Gerlach experiment, right? So think about an oven, and where is and that from that oven the silver atoms are coming, and they are subjected to uniform magnetic field in the z direction, and there are two beams like SZ plus and SZ minus are coming. Now, if there is a blocker, and if you stop that SZ minus, the SZ plus will pass on, and SZ minus will be stopped. Now if you again apply an apparatus on this emergent beam, which is aligned in the z direction, what you are supposed to get? SZ plus only. There is no SZ minus, which is very understandable, because now you have this is your measurement basis, and you are only having SZ plus, so you will only get SZ plus, and as you have blocked SZ minus, you will not get SZ minus. Now, so the figure A is more or less understandable from the perspective intuitively. However, the figure B is more interesting, and other interesting is the figure C. Hello.
Yes, sir, it's okay.
Okay.
There is
Okay.
some disturbance from participant side. I
Okay.
request Ms. Renuka, please mute yourself. Sorry, sir.
Okay, no problem. So coming to this SZ, the second part. So now you see, I did do a small change. SZ where so in the previous case, our second Stern-Gerlach apparatus was aligned in the Z direction, whereas now in the second case, our second Stern-Gerlach apparatus is aligned in the X direction. So now SG X direction. Now it is interesting to note that the two different types of beams are coming out. There are two different types of beams are coming out. One type of beam is SX plus and SX minus. So how do you explain this property? So now with two outputs, now whenever it is subjected to SZX, the two different types of beams are SX plus and SX minus. So the information about SZ plus is completely lost, right? or is it something different? There is another way of explaining this. Another way of explaining is that this SZ plus out this all the atoms that are coming are of SZ plus beam are made up of 50% of the atoms coming out of the first apparatus in the SZ plus beam are both characterized by Sx plus and Sx minus. For example, SZ plus beam, 50% of SZ plus beams are characterized by SZ plus and Sx plus, while the other 50% is characterized by SZ plus and Sx minus. So this property of Sx plus and Sx minus only comes into being because of this kind of apparatus. So this SZ plus, 50% of which is Sx plus and 50% of which is Sx minus, this can be an explanation. But we do not know right at this moment whether this is the solely only the explanation. So so this will be Sx plus and Sx minus. Now we do a further modification. On doing a further modification, what happens? On doing a further modification, this Sz plus, so we did in the next step that Sx minus, we are blocking it over here, and Sx plus are again subjected to Sz apparatus, and we get two things out of it, Sz plus and Sz minus. Right? Now, I ask you, what is so weird about it? If you is Sz plus and Sz, if you get Sz plus and Sz minus, can anybody tell what is so weird about it? Anybody?
I think no response from this side.
See, the weirdness is you have already blocked Sz minus. As no trace of the Sz minus here in Sz plus.
It's getting filtered over there, no sir?
Yeah. It is getting filtered over there. How come from the complementary set, how come the Sz minus is coming back? It is, you are filtering Sz minus over here, as madam just now mentioned. So how come from the complementary set, Sz minus is coming back? This is one of the most intriguing question of quantum mechanics. And this is the foundation pillar of superposition and entanglement. So how come that you are getting that? So you see in the very first step, Sz minus is getting blocked or filtered. And there's you allow the complementary set to flow through the flow. So there is no trace of Sz minus atoms over here. But somehow very, very strangely, again Sz minus atoms are started coming here at the last step. That means the setup is resetting itself. Once you are going into an apparatus, everything resets, it forgets the previous information and resets itself according to the apparatus. If it is resetting itself according to the apparatus, so that means this brings in a very, very philosophical question of quantum mechanics. So that means it depends upon what measurement you are actually doing in the system. Suppose if you are doing in the system in a X measurement, SGX, then you get this and this. Or if you're doing in the system, whether the atoms are having Sz plus or Sz minus are there or not. Again, you are doing this in this system, you get this and this. So means any state can be represented, suppose this Sx plus can be represented as a superposition of this Sz plus and Sz minus. Right, Sx plus can be represented as a superposition of this. So this is what superposition. Superposition means that whichever measurements you are looking out, whichever basis you are seeing, whichever basis of the Hilbert space you are seeing, in that basis you can write it down. But this is happening physically, and you are modeling it with the help of an Hilbert space. So quantum mechanics is actually happens in the laboratory, and the best mathematical model by which we can do is through the Hilbert space model and the linear, complete um, linear vector space, right? So this, so thus it is observed that Sz plus and Sz minus are Sz plus and Sz plus and Sz minus emerge out of the third apparatus, which was not expected, which is never expected that Sz minus to come out. So the apparatus SG is completely, as I have told you, is completely destroying any previous information about SG. The existence of the system comes because of the measurement. Now, similar analogy can be made with the polarization of light. So Hz plus minus atoms can be thought about as X polarized, Y polarized light. XX plus minus atoms can be thought as an X prime and Y prime polarized light. So similarly, we write this as the mathematical representation for Sx plus will be 1 by root 2 Sz plus 1 by root 2 Sz minus. So this, when you take the inner product and take the square modulus of that, you get the probability of Sx plus collapsing into Sz plus is half. The probability of Sx plus collapsing into Sz minus is half. Similarly, the probability of Sx minus collapsing into Sz plus is half, and Sz minus is half. So, and this is the probability amplitude. Okay. Now let us get back to the slides once again. So this is what I have told in the Stern-Gerlach. Now, as you know, they are represented by the finite dimensional. Just to go through it quickly before going into the other things, entanglement and other things. As you know, that the state of the systems are generally represented by the state psi, and the complement and the dual space elements are written by this notation, which is called bra, and this is called Kate. So this is the inner product is a linear functional which will give you the complex numbers. So, and it's the completeness condition, it's a finite dimensional Hilbert space, and it's a completeness condition gives you that this. If you have a basis to describe that space, the outer product of this will be equal to the identity. So these are the basics of quantum mechanics, and the composite systems are given in the form of this. Now, when we go into the composite system, the idea of entanglement comes over here. And the operators represent this in outer product representation of two states, and this is psi1, psi2. And there is this is the evolution picture. I am not going into this because these are all basics of quantum mechanics. So evolution pictures before the evolution picture is psi2 and u psi1. So means the unitary is an evolution, gives you the unitary evolution. So a state psi2 will be created after applying the unitary operator u psi1. And this is the measurement picture. If you apply a measurement operator on the psi and pi 0 operator, it will be either collapse into the 0, and the probability, if psi is alpha 0 plus beta 1, the probability of collapsing into the state 0 is alpha square, and the probability of collapsing into the state 1 is beta, mod beta square. Now we quickly move to the mixed states. But mixed state, it is important to understand what is a mixed state, because mixed state is something where you add something more to what is quantum over here. Excuse me. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you excuse me for one couple of seconds?
Yes, yeah, sure. Take your time. No problem.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Yes, yes.
Hello. So, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So, so let us try to understand what is mixed state. So I ask you a different question. So how many of you know what is a mixed state? I hope you know mixed states. Do you know mixed states? What is a mixed state?
Uh, any participant want to answer? Sir, based on the previous knowledge that we have gained in this day one and then morning session,
Hmm.
three states have been introduced, and the third one is a superposition of the zeros and ones. We know those three, sir.
Okay, okay. So for quantum mechanics,
Linear combination of zero state and one state, or any possible combination of 0 and 1.
so you are giving the definition of mixed states?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, the mixed state is not that. That is superposition. Mixed state is something different. And when you are in lab, you actually deal with mixed states. You do not get pure states like alpha zero linear combination of alpha zero plus beta one. So what is mixed state? So it is very interesting. Let me explain, because it requires an explanation to understand what is actually mixed state and what is actually pure state. So let me give you an example to you. Suppose this is a class, and out of this class, 50% of the students are good in English and 50% of the students are good in maths. Now, I am blindfolded. I pick up one student. I pick up one student. I do not know whether it is whether he or she is good in English or maths. So what will be my mathematical way of expressing this thing? So I will say there is a 50% probability that the student will be good in English, and there is a 50% probability that the student will be good in maths, right? Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
This is a very
Yes, sir.
simple basic example, and there is no quantum mechanics over here, right? There is no quantum mechanics over here. Now it may happen that with P probability, the student is good in English, and with 1 minus P probability, the student is good in maths. Right. So then I will say there is a P probability of getting the student good in English, and 1 minus P probability of the student will be good in maths. So there is nothing quantum mechanics over here. This is not happening because of the superposition or something. Superposition is quantum mechanical thing, but mixed state is something different. So this is classical probability. Now think about a box. Now think about a box where you have 50% of the atoms are in the SZ plus, and 50% of the atoms are in SZ minus, or say SX minus. Spin. So the spin of the atoms, 50% of the spin of the atoms are of Sx plus, and 50% of the spin of the atoms are Sz minus, say. Now if you randomly or blindfoldedly pick up one atom, then what you will say? There is half probability of that atom to be Sz plus and half probability of the atom to be in the Sz minus, Sx minus. Now this is not superposition. This uncertainty is coming because I am randomly picking up an atom from the black box where there are two kinds of atoms can exist. So there can be two states, P psi psi plus 1 minus P phi phi. Right? So the total will be equal to 1, and this is not superposition. This is not alpha 0 plus beta 1. Try to understand this probability P for alpha 0 plus beta 1, mod of alpha square plus mod of beta square is equal to 1. For this probability P and the 1 minus P, these are classical probabilities. So given as there are two types of uncertainties that are now getting plugged inside the state. One uncertainty is the whether which basis you are writing it, whether psi is alpha 0 plus beta 1 or phi is alpha 1 0 plus beta 1 1. But another uncertainty, which is classical randomness and 1 minus p, this uncertainty, this is called classical mixing parameter. It has got a name, classical mixing parameter p. So two types of uncertainties are now introduced. So that is why it is called mixed states. Mixed, right? Is this clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Sir, can I ask a question? But there is one post in the chat box regarding this. Can I question it, sir?
Absolutely.
Sir, can't someone be both good at maths and English? Do they need to be mutually exclusive for them to be in mixed state? Is that you referring to the famous Schrodinger's cat? Is the question, sir.
Okay. No. I am just giving you the maths and English as an exhaust complementary set, right? To give you an example. Now here the particles are in the spin z direction, and the mixed states can be written in different bases. This is a good question. The mixed state can be written in a different basis. Now suppose you see 50% in the base in psi basis and 50 p probability with p probability that is in the psi basis, and 1 minus p probability it is phi basis. That means out of the total number of atoms with p probability, these are the number of atoms in the psi basis, and with 1 minus p probability these are the number of atoms. Now you are blindly picking up. This blind picking is just a classical probability that you have to pick up two different color from the box, right? Two mutually exclusive colors from the box. This is not quantum probability. So there are many things are inbuilt over there. So quantum probability is completely different from what you see the classical probability. Let me give you another example. So classical probability, for example, if you toss a coin, so you know that there are two possible outcomes, head and tail, and these are two chance factors. Either it will be head. Now if I give you a situation where you have where you exactly know the parameters that are associated with this experiment of tossing of the coin. For example, every time you are doing it in a vacuum, so there is no air resistance, and each and every time you are starting with the same face of the coin, and you are giving the same amount of force every time. So if you can do all these kind of setups, then the tossing of the coin, you can predict the outcomes of the tossing of the coins if you can control the dynamical parameters. So the chance is coming in classically. This is classically because we do not have access to all the parameters, right? So it is an absence of knowledge. Absence of, similarly over here, whether it is an absence of knowledge whether it is a red ball or a white ball, right? Whether it is psi or phi. But quantum probability, whether it will collapse in which basis, just like you have seen in case of Stern-Gerlach, just like whether it will collapse in Sz plus, the probability is half, or this probability is quantum probability half when you square. Why? I will tell you why. Because whatever be the experimental situation, if you keep the experimental situation each and every time same, you still cannot able to predict whether it will collapse into Sz plus or Sz minus. So there is no lack of knowledge. So you still cannot predict. So this is inherently random in nature. So there are certain experiments which tells you that whenever it will hit the two detectors, D1 and D2, whatever be you keep the experimental condition same as it is. Each and every time it will detect, you cannot predict which detector it will hit. So that is why this is more random in nature, and it's not an absence of knowledge. And we call the square of this probability amplitude as the quantum probabilities, which is not the same. See, these two does not add up to one, which is not the same as this probability. So now so the probability is responsible for uncertainty from the definition of Shannon entropy, right? Now you are in your system, both the types of uncertainty has been introduced. One is the uncertainty that is coming because of the quantum mechanical nature, superposition. Another uncertainty that is coming because of the classical mixing. Now, why these kind of states arise? Because whenever you have a quantum states, it decodes with the environment and it gets into a mixed state form. So whenever you will do experiment, so entire literature is about mixed states. Whenever you do experiment, you will not get that kind of state so easily, right? You will get this kind of states, right? Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir. Following, sir.
Okay. Now, interesting part, entanglement. We move on from classical. Sorry, we move on from single qubit system to multi-qubit system. There is entanglement can be understood in different ways. Let me give you a very simplistic way of understanding. There is a mathematical way of understanding the entanglement. There is a physical way of understanding the entanglement. Now there is a particle, there are two particles, and they are composite system. They are lying in the Hilbert space H of AB, where the subsystem. So now, if the state psi, which is made up of two particles, cannot be written in this tensor product from alpha cross beta, then that particular state will be called as an entangled state. And if it can be written in this form, alpha cross beta, then that of the as a component, as a factorized thing of the subsystem, they will be called as a separable state. And for mixed state entanglement, the rho cannot be written as a convex combinations of the product states, right? So if it is written in summation pi rho I a across rho b with these conditions, then we will call it as a separable state. But if it is not, if cannot be written as a written in this form, then we will call this as an entangled state. But this is mathematical definition, right? What is the physical definition? So to understand that, let me go skip couple of slides, right? Suppose you have a joint system rho AB, which is an entangled state, rho AB. Now A is the two particle system. Now if you want to know about A, right? How do you know about A? Want to gain information about it. You want to find out the entropy because you know that entropy is a measure of information, and for quantum system, the entropy, the Shannon entropy, are replaced by von Neumann entropy. So I will calculate the von Neumann entropy of A, S of rho A. If S of rho A comes out to be 0, so what does it mean?
आधा मिनट वो एक
stable.
पीछे का बैक
Does it mean it is stable, sir?
एक हेडफोन
Does it
Sir,
mean it
there
is?
is some disturbance here. Yeah, there is some disturbance here. Mahin Hashmi, please mute yourself. Suresh, sir, can you mute her? Suresh, sir? Yes, thank you. Yes, sir. Sir, if the entropy of the given is 0, then it is stable. Does it mean that?
So in a similar way, the entropy of S of rho is 0 means entropy measures what? Entropy measures the uncertainty present in the system.
Yes.
So 0 means there is no uncertainty.
Uncertainty. Yes, sir.
Right. So that means you have full information about the system A.
Yes.
Right. So if you have the full information about the system A, that's the system is completely, you don't need to bring system B to gain information about the system A. You just merely looking at the system A, you get the full information about the system A. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that means this system A has no connection with the system B, so they are separable. That means it is separable.
Okay, got it.
So this is the basis. So since there is no uncertainty in here, that means just by, suppose there are two friends, they are very closely connected with each other, or not. How do I find out? If I can just look into one particular system and just try to get the entire information about the system without invoking the other system, that means this is so there is he is I have they are disconnected, and there is no correlation between them. However, if S of rho A is greater than 0, however, if S of rho A is greater than 0, that means there is some uncertainty about the system A, right? And there is some uncertainty about the system A. That means some information is missing, and some information is missing about the system A. And where does information gone? I am just only looking into the system A, yet I am not able to get the entire information about the system A. Then where does that information is gone? Some information is missing. That information is actually the correlation. That information is entanglement. That information, whenever there are entanglement, you will get S of rho A is greater than 0. That information is there in the correlation. It tells you that you will not be able to understand A unless and until you invoke B. Your picture of the system A is not going to be complete unless and until you bring in the system A. And that is also true for B. Your picture of B will not be complete unless and until you are bringing in the system A. So this uncertainty is coming because of the correlation between A and B. Right? Is this clear?
Sir. Yes.
So this correlation is actually the measure of the entanglement. And when this becomes 1, then you get Bell state, which is a maximally entangled state. Right, and Bell state are much more useful for communications purposes. So when I talk about Bell states are those which will have the maximum value of S rho A, which is 1. There's a maximally entangled state. There is an entanglement cannot be more, maximum correlation between those two states. But any states with a S of rho A greater than 0 is a mixed S of rho A is greater than 0 is an entangled state. Right, so this is a very good checker, at the very basic checker for being for seeing the measure of entanglement. However, the interesting part is that this measure of entanglement is good as long as you are traveling in a pure state scenario. However, this is not the identifier of the measure of entanglement in a mixed state. Can you tell why? Can anybody tell why? What is your intuition? Why it will not able to tell the entanglement in case of mixed state? Mixed entangled state. Any idea? Please, madam.
Whenever we're talking about entangled state, there is a correlation between things, and mixed state obviously will be having there. So it will be difficult to, identify as separable or not. Maybe we need some more criteria.
Yeah. The reason is that, thank you. So the reason is that in mixed state, as I told you, the uncertainty is not only coming because of correlation. Yeah. In mixed entangled state, the uncertainty is not only coming, if S of rho is greater than 0, this uncertainty is not only coming because of correlation between A and B, but also of the added uncertainty of the classical mixing of the states that is happening. Now, this measure is not going to separate out these two. This measure is not going to separate out these two uncertainties. This measure is not going to separate out these two uncertainties. The two uncertainties coming in case of mixed state. But there are numerous measures for mixed state, but those are very, very advanced things. So, advanced topics. So I'm not going into those measures like concurrence or all this, but mixed state, basic idea is that mixed state von Neumann entropy will not be sufficient to figure out only the uncertainty that is coming out of the correlation. So it cannot be a measure of correlation in case of mixed entangled states. However, entanglement is a whole picture. There are three pictures with the entanglement. First picture, I have talked about von Neumann entropy and concurrence already, which is the part of the quantification. How do I quantify? Concurrence is a measure for mixed states. Von Neumann entropy is a measure for pure states, and concurrence can also be a measure for pure states also. So this is quantification. The amount, once the entanglement is present, then how to quantify this entanglement. So entangled states are basically correlated systems in composite system, and because of these correlations we can do lots of wonders. And this correlation is a kind of a correlation which you will never get in classical systems, right? And this kind of correlation actually gives you power in computing, and it also gives you power in information processing tasks. So entanglement has correlation, so correlated states. So now the question of quantification is there. I have told that von Neumann entropy and concurrence are the measures of quantifying the entanglement. Now the next question that comes is the detection of the entanglement. Detection is something different for quantification. Suppose you given a state, quantification is a mathematical formula, right? So, but suppose you are given a state in the lab, arbitrary state in the lab, and now you arbitrary state. Now you have to tell whether it is entangled or not, right? There are two different criteria by which you can tell. Perez-Sorodowski criteria is a mathematical criteria, and witness operator is a more of a used to find out the witness to detect entangled state or not. And it is, entanglement is very simple. Entanglement is not so simple. It is very tough when you go beyond qubit system. When you go to qubits, and there is no straight cut way by which you can tell that the state is entangled or not. And it becomes very, very complex with the qubits, qubit, and in the multi-qubit systems. I mean, when I say multi-qubit, means it's more than 2 qubits. I am saying if it is by tripartite, quadripartite entanglement, complexity arises a lot, and there is a huge research literature goes on this. So complexity is much over there in the process of detection as well as in the process of quantification. When you simply move from qubit system. Qubit is a system where you have two bases, 0 and 1, alpha 0 plus beta 1. But if you use a Q-treat, then it will be alpha 0, beta 1, gamma 2, like this system. So there are many other systems. For example, real systems like fermions are qubit systems, whereas bosons are Q-treat systems, right? So it is an entanglement in those domains are more complicated to characterize entanglement. So one of the characterization, very basic characterization, is Perez-Sorodowski criteria. And the Perez-Sorodowski criteria, Perez-Sorodowski criteria is necessary and sufficient, sufficient in 2x2 and 2x3. But beyond that, it is only necessary. But after, it is not sufficient. And why I will tell you. So there is one criteria by which you can check whether the state is entanglement or not. Suppose you are given a state is rho. Given a state is rho. If rho is separable, hello. Given a state is rho. Now, how to detect whether the rho is separable or entangled? How to detect? Mathematically, you can simply just do one thing. You take the partial transpose on the rho. So rho is a 4x4 matrix. If you do the partial and not full transpose of the matrix, you do the transpose in the second system of the matrix first. If you do a partial transpose of the matrix in the system B, and if you find non-negative eigenvalues, then the system is separable. Rho is separable. If rho TV has non-negative eigenvalues, then rho is separable. Because it is very difficult for mixed state to understand whether it is separable or entangled. For pure state, it is very easy to understand. But for mixed state, one of the criteria to understand whether it is separable or entanglement is this. So you may ask me this question. Say, so if you say that if it is not written in this particular form, then you can say it is entangled. Why are you looking into so much criteria? This is an extremely hard problem because a mixed state rho can be written in infinite ways, and because of the change of the basis you can do, and it can be written in infinite ways, and in which basis it will become a product, it will become a product you do not know, and it is impossible to know on the very first hand that whether it is entangled or not. So that is a criteria by which you can check that whether it is an entangled or not. That is called the Perez-Horoghi criteria. So if rho is separable, when I am saying that rho is separable, if it is a the rho partial transpose as a non-negative is of non-negative eigenvalues. All the eigenvalues are non-negative. But if you find at least one negative eigenvalue, there is a proof why it is coming. It is not coming from the thing here. If you find at least one eigenvalue negative, then rho is entangled. Right? If you find at least one eigenvalue is negative, then rho is entangled. Now, this is what is Perez-Horoghi criteria. Perez criteria was this. Perez only told that if it is negative, if at least one of the eigenvalue is negative, then it is entangled for sure. But Perez told that I am not sure whether there will not exist entangled state with positive with rho TV with positive eigenvalues. If it is having one negative eigenvalue, I am sure that it is going to be entangled. But I am not giving you the other way guarantee. If all the eigenvalues are positive, I cannot say that it will be always separable. I can say only that if it has a negative eigenvalue, then it will be entangled. So that means he just told there is a possibility of getting an entangled state if the eigenvalue of rho TB is positive. But Horoghi later show that no, you will not get, as long as you are in 2x2 and 2x3 dimension, qubit system and qubit system, or if you have all positive eigenvalues, of rho TV, that means it is positive partial transpose. If you have positive partial transpose, then it is a separable state in case of 2x2 and 2x3. How this condition is sufficient in case of 2x2 and 2x3. However, for the rest, this is not sufficient. That also Horoghi agreed. See, this is true for this, but for the rest of the system, for 3x3, 4x4, 3x4, 4x3, no. There can be certain entangled state with the positive partial transport, and those are called PPT entangled states. So positive partial transpose entangled state. So this is a very complicated and literature, and complete positive maps are used to find out PPT entangled states. Another way of understanding the PPT entangled state is through the witness operator. Right? How can you detect an entangled state? So how will you understand that the state is entangled? There should be some criteria. The state, one of the way of which you can detect an state if you are able to create an entangled state, witness operator for entangled. Now the set of all separable states, is a convex and compact state, right? So just like PPT entangled state, there is NPT entangled state. NPT entangled state are those states which is a negative partial transpose, right? And so I know that NPT states are all entangled. But PPT, there can be also both separable and entangled states can there. So how you detect an entanglement, which is a PPT, but yet entangled? So one of the, I just discussed one strategy. There are many such strategies, which is a strategy of witness operator, which is more experimentally useful. So the strategy is, this comes from the Hahn-Banach theorem. So if you have a convex compact set, so then you can always have an hyperplane so this is the set of all separable state, and if you and the set of separable state is convex and compact. Now, if you are able to create an hyperplane which will separate out the separable state, so this is a witness for this entangled state. And this witness operator, can be written in form of the polymatrices, and then the polymatrices can be written in terms of gates. So you have to construct gates to check the witness for the witness operator for the entangled states. Right. So this is another way of checking whether the state is entangled or not, given if there is a PPT entangled state. Okay.
Sir, I have a doubt. Can I ask? Sir, can we treat this as a test to check both the entanglement of both the state? Is it applicable for both the state? Mixed you have explained, sir. I mean, already we have done with pure state. Is this, can we take this one to deal with both the states?
Yeah, of course. Pure state checking entanglement is very easy in bipartite, much more easy in the bipartite scenario. But when it is mainly mixed state is a much more bigger version, bigger set of pure state. So a particular case of mixed states, when trace rho square is equal to 1, it becomes a pure state. So whatever you will be able to do with the mixed state, you can always do for the pure states.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have one more question in the chat also regarding the mixed state. Yes, sir. Sir, do you mean mixed state is a probabilistic mixture, whereas superposition is not a probabilistic mixture?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Superposition is a artifact of the property of the physical property of the system. And the mixed states is a probability, is a kind of a classical absence of knowledge. Superposition is more random, and mixed state is the absence of knowledge.
Okay,
yeah.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
But however, there is this is one of the areas that I've worked with, but it is, I think I will just skip this slide. So there are certain other quantum correlations which go beyond entanglement, and those kind of correlations are called dissonance, discord, and you see that in nuclear magnetic resonance quantum computation, even in absence of entanglement, you can see, I'm just giving you 1-2 line hint about this. Even in absence of entanglement, you can see remarkable computational talks happening. So this perplexed people to think about, is quantum is entanglement is actually capturing the entire part of the quantum correlation. So there may be something beyond entanglement within the quantum mechanical framework, which is actually allowing this kind of computing happening even in the absence of entanglement. So then the theoretician came out with a much more information theoretic measures like dissonance and discords. So entanglement is a kind of a distance between the minimum distance from the state rho to the nearest separable state. And however, nearest separable state. However, dissonance is the, and these are the product states. There is a different, the classical product states. So there is a difference between the classical states and the separable states. I will it is not, I cannot say in one particular line, but so because of that, there is some hidden correlations in this form of dissonance Q. So which is a kind of a product state. These small boxes are like, which is a little bit separable states, means it is is much more bigger state compared to the product states. Anyway, so these are the different measures, new different measures of correlation that goes beyond the entanglement. Okay. So next is, now you are given with the entanglement. What are the things that you can do with the entanglement? So possibilities in quantum information theories. What are the things that you can do in the entanglement? One of the three possibilities we will talk about. One is teleportation, and is super dense coding, and is broadcasting. Right. I have picked up three because there are many other possibilities, because I have worked in all these three, especially in broadcasting. I have a huge group of working on quantum broadcasting, how to do broadcasting in a quantum network. So when you build up a network, how you can there are students who are working on that, how you can transmit information and correlation through a network with different 1D chain, 2D chain. Okay, we will talk about that in some other time. But let us give some examples of teleportation and super dense coding and broadcasting. What is the basic idea? So teleportation is one of the fascinating ideas. So this is something people have never thought of. So Alice and Bob are sharing an Bell state, which is of the form 1 by root 2 0 0 plus 1. There are 4 Bell states, and these 4 states forms a basis in the 2 cross 2 system. So there will be 4 basis vector. One is 0 0 plus 1 1, and there will be 0 0 minus 1 1, and there will be 0 1 plus 1 0, and another will be 0 1 minus 1 0. So out of these 2 qubits, see, you cannot write into product of 2 states. Just like separable states. Mathematically, you cannot break it up as a qubit from Alice and a qubit from Bob. You cannot do it. You have to partially trace out the system to understand what is the Alice's qubit, which will come out to be again a mixed state, because that information is lost in correlation. Similarly, you have to partially trace out Alice's qubit to find out what is Bob's qubit. But so this is 1 qubit from, this is the resource of entanglement. 1 qubit of Alice, 0 is shared with Alice. 1 qubit is not 0. I'm saying the Alice is having with 1 qubit, and Bob is having 1 qubit. Now, this is an unknown state on Alice's side. Now Alice now teleports this state to this side. How will you do that? He is not teleporting the physical state. She is not teleporting the physical state. She is actually teleporting the information present in the state to the Bob's qubit. So the whole process, I had seen that there is a talk on teleportation. Am I right, Mamta madam?
No, sir. Today afternoon, we are going to have it.
Good morning, Indranil sir, Raja Reddy sir. Sir.
Hello. Yes, Professor Reddy. Professor Reddy, please.
Sir. Teleportation, sir, evening is there, sir, afternoon, after this class. So okay. There is a Bell state, sir, little bit focus on Bell state. That is based on again entanglement, sir. If you have the, if you throw focus on the Bell state, that is a good, sir.
So Bell state, Bell state is actually all these 4 states: 0 0 plus 1 1, 0 0 minus 1 1, 0 1 plus 1 0 1 0. So Bell states are one of the important part of the Bell state is actually this teleportation, super dense coding, and broadcasting. So this Bell state will be useful, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I have given the introduction to Bell states. These are the maximally entangled state with these are the maximally entangled state, and with the entanglement 1. You cannot have more entanglement than the Bell states. But Bell state, as Professor was asking,
same, sir. Bloch pair, Bell statement and a Bloch pair.
No, Bell state cannot be, see, Bloch sphere is a single qubit system. Bell state is a 2 qubit system, so it cannot be expressed in terms of the Bloch sphere. Bell state is a 2-qubit system, right?
Okay,
So,
sir.
the Bloch sphere picture, is for the single qubit system. So Bell state is what Professor was saying. The Bell state is very much resourceful states, and it is a part of the entanglement. It is an entangled state, the maximally entangled state. How I am using the Bell state? One of the use is teleportation. The idea of teleportation is you have a qubit psi alpha is 0 plus beta 1, and Alice and Bob is sharing a Bell state 1 by root 2 0 0 plus 1 1. Now, using this Bell state, it is so powerful. Using this Bell state, you will be able to teleport that qubit from Alice's side to Bob's side, right? So now how will you do it? You will express. In the later class you will understand. You will learn it in more. But just to give you idea how it is used. So suppose you write these two qubits in the Bell basis. Bell basis means the basis with the Bell state as the states. You write call this as 5 plus 5 plus 5 minus 5 plus 5 minus. You write the qubits in the form like this, and then you do a measurement. You will see that this particular qubit, Bob's qubit, will turn out into 4 possible possibilities: alpha 0 plus beta 1, alpha 0 minus beta 1, beta 0 plus alpha 1, beta 0 minus alpha 1. All the 4 possibilities it can come in. So so Alice actually does a Bell basis measurement here with her qubit, with her first qubit and the qubit this, right? So, and what are the measurement outcomes? Psi plus, psi minus, phi plus, and phi minus. For psi plus, you will get back this, and psi minus, you will get back alpha 0 minus beta 1, and 4 possible outcomes. Now, the interesting part is this. Bob doesn't know what measurement outcomes he has got unless and until Alice sends 2 C bits of classical information. What is this 2 C bits of classical information? She is just telling her Bell measurement outcomes as psi plus. Whenever she gets psi plus, she tells 0 0. Whenever she gets psi minus, she tells 0 0 1 or 1, and 5 plus 1 0 and 5 minus 1 1 1. So all these 2 C bits of information she is sending to Bob, and on basis of that, if he is applying unitary sigma x, sigma y, I, sigma x, sigma y, I sigma y, and I. So all this he is applying on basis of the measurement outcomes communicated by Alice to Bob with the help of 2 C bits of information. So on basis of that, she changes, the Bob is getting back the state alpha 0 plus beta 1. Right. Now the important question is it signaling? Is the information is traveling faster than the speed of the light? Because Alice and Bob can be light years apart. Alice and Bob can be spatially separated. I'm just asking you this question, whether this information is going faster than the speed of light? Can any student can respond? Say, is it going faster than the speed of light?
Maybe, sir. It may be. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel so.
No, actually the answer is no. This is not going faster than the speed of light.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Somebody other than you has also said hello. That's why yes. I said.
Sir, there is a chat. 1 minute, sir. I'll read out. In Bell state, I think is maximum entangled state something they're telling. Sir, what is the specialty of Bell state? Okay, there is a question based on Bell state, sir. Not regarding to this. Yeah, we'll
ask me the question. Are you?
Sir, what is the specialty of Bell state? And another person asking, Bell state, I think, is maximally entangled state.
Yeah, Bell state is the maximally entangled state. This particular state is a Bell state, one of the Bell states. There are 4 Bell states: 0, 0 plus 1, 1, 0, 0 minus 1, 1, and 0, 1 plus 1, 0, 0, 1 minus 1, 0. So these are the 4 Bell states. And yes, you are right. They are maximally entangled state.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So now
So
the
speed is
question
with respect to speed of light only, sir. That's it. The same, whether it is in quantum or here.
yeah, sorry, I didn't get your question. Can you repeat
The
more?
speed that you were asking, sir, the speed will remain the same. It will not be changing or
No,
becoming
yeah,
more.
I am just saying that. See, Alice is doing some measurement over here, and Bob is getting that state immediately. Bob is the state is reproduced on Bob's side, on the other side of the communication channel, right? So if you take this base state as a communication channel between from Alice to Bob. Um, Alice to Bob, then this state psi alpha 0 plus beta 1 is getting produced over here once Alice is doing the measurement. Is it not an so immediate question that comes to all of our minds? When I was a student, it also it is not a signaling that it is traveling faster than the speed of light. Then how then the special which is not possible. No, actually this does not happen. So that is why I asked you the question. So whether it is traveling faster than the speed of light or not. No, it doesn't. Why? Because the reason is twofold. One is that the what Bob is getting depends upon what measurement outcomes Alice is sending to the Bob. So this zero, so she has to send her measurement outcomes through a classical channel, which is 00011011. So if you are telling through a phone call, it will never cross the speed of the light, right? It will never cross the speed of the light. So and Bob will be oblivious of whatever is produced on his side, and he will always get the identity unless and until Alice reveals her measurement outcome. So that is the interesting tricky part in all this kind of quantum mechanical protocol. It gives you advantage. It gives you advantage compared to the classical, yet it is consistent with the physical theories like the no signaling principle, which is nothing can travel faster than the speed of the light. In the most of the part of the quantum foundations, these are there.
Okay.
Now, this is another interesting experiment. So Alice and Bob, which is with the help of a Bell state, disk, you can travel, you can send two classical bits of information. How will you send 2 bits of classical information? So how you are going to send it? You are going to send it by doing operation on Alice's. Suppose Alice wants to send 2 bits of classical information, 00011011, right? So whenever she wants to send 00, she does nothing to her qubit 0, nothing to her qubit 0 and 1. Whenever she wants to send 01, she just does the sigma j operation on her qubit. And whenever Alice wants to send 10, she does X gate, applies X gate or sigma X operation. Whenever she wants to send 11, she applies I sigma Y operation on her qubit. Now, whenever she is applying these operations, the states are changing into they are changing into 4 different Bell states. If she does the identity operation, this is one of the Bell state. If she does 01, then it is goes to another Bell state. If she does 10, then it goes to another Bell state, and if she does 11, it goes to another Bell state. Now what happens? So 4 possible cases arises. 4 possible cases arises depending on the Alice's measurement outcome. So Bob's states is also changing continuously along with the Alice's change. Now Alice does what? Alice sends her qubit to Bob, and Alice sends her, and Bob measures, and Bob does measurement in the Bell basis to get back the Alice's information. So 0001 1011. So even in case of teleportation, so Bob, after doing the measurement in the Bell basis, will be able to reveal out the informations that Alice want to send, which is 00011011. So 2 bits of classical information can be not only quantum information. See here, quantum information present in the state, which is alpha 0 plus beta 1, is communicated with the help of a Bell state. Similarly, a classical information has been communicated with the help of a Bell state. These two areas are huge areas. Teleportation for mixed state is a completely different ball game, as this is for a pure state. Teleportation for pure Bell with the resources of a Bell state. But if you do not have a resource as a Bell state, you have a lesser entangled state, then it will be a different ball game. It is not going to teleport perfectly. So any question on this?
Sir, we have a question here. I don't know directly not to this, but what is the coding platform that you are using? Please enlighten us about the coding platform and the references of the same. Maybe.
Actually, I don't understand what exactly we mean by the coding platform.
I request
Sir?
Archana Paishana. Yes, please
Yeah.
speak up. Thank you.
Sir, if we want to try all these algorithms, what platform do you think, like what coding languages or what? Like I know CIRQ is there, then Qiskit is there, but then I'm not finding the like proper material to
You
learn.
can do Q hash is there, Qiskit is also there, and also you can. I generally used to do on Q density. If you take Mathematica file, there is a package called Q density package, and the Q density.
Okay, sir.
You can do base state measurements over the Q density package over there. All these things can be done on that package. Also in the different coding, as you are also mentioning, those languages.
Okay, so but I didn't find a material to read on it. I mean, either Q density or this thing, so that we can start with what you are saying, just the basics at least.
Oh, you want to read about this teleportation and super dense coding material, right?
Yeah, coding of it, sir. Coding of it.
Coding of it, there are certain review lecture notes. I will just then later at this period I will forward to Mamta madam regarding the review lecture notes.
Okay, sir.
If you want to learn the coding.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll be in coordination. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Any other question?
No, sir. We don't. We are done with all the questions in the chat box for now. We'll proceed with this.
Okay. So I am slowly coming into the last part of my talk, which is impossibilities of quantum information theory. Another interesting operation, as Professor was saying about the Bell state, I tell you another interesting thing about Bell state. So one interesting thing is that, as you have seen in case of teleportation and super dense coding, as you have seen in case of teleportation and super dense coding, you are requiring Bell state as a resource to be shared between Alice and Bob. Similarly, here you are requiring Bell state as a resource to share between Alice and Bob. So the demand for the Bell state is very high to do the information processing task, right? But you don't get Bell state so easily in the laboratory because of the classical noise or the decoherence. They will turn into a mixed state. Now the question is how to get a Bell state. The process by which you get a Bell state is called distillation, and the reverse process is called broadcasting. So you want to get a Bell state. So what you do, there is a process which is called distillation. You from n number of copies of mixed entangled states, you can create a small n number of copies of Bell states, and this is our singlets. So this is a process which is called as the distillation process, and then the Bell state will be useful for communication. But however, there is a reverse process. You have a one Bell state or one maximally entangled state, as one of you are mentioning in the chat box, one maximally entangled state. From there, how many less entangled states you can create. This is called broadcasting of entanglement. Why you require? Because when you do not require in a network, when you do not require a large maximally entangled state always, you may also require a non-maximally entangled state, or lesser entangled state for your purpose. And the process by which you do it is called broadcasting. So you are able to, I also work over this area. So if you want to know more about it, how to broadcast entanglement in a network, the process of creating two more entanglement pairs from one is called broadcasting. So this is all about broadcasting. So you can contact me if you want to know more about broadcasting. So I want to give a picture of the entire quantum mechanics and the quantum information theory, so along with the idea of the base state and the entanglement and base states is a key resource for the quantum information theory. But there is one small thing about the quantum information theory: is impossibility in quantum information. So as I had told you initially, Mamta madam, how much time I have?
Sir, the next session starts at 12:30 actually. So we can have some 5 to 7 minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you so
We are
much.
giving 10 minutes of break to the participants. 12:20 we'll wind up. So 12:20, 12:25 something.
Okay. So as I told you, the impossibilities are like one of the impossibilities are not only is not a curse but a boon, because impossibilities of quantum information theory makes quantum information private, secure, and permanent. Right. So what are these impossibilities? We will talk about only three: cloning, deletion, and divisibility. So what is cloning? You have one system. If you are able to produce two systems, this is an example of this famous ship cloning thing. You are able to create two systems, same identical systems out of that one system. Then you call it as a cloning. And if you have two identical systems, and if you are able to delete one completely, then it is called deletion. But no cloning theorem tells you that in quantum mechanics. This is a very famous paper on Nature in 1982 by Wouters and Jurek. That arbitrary unknown quantum state, unlike classical bits, arbitrary unknown quantum states cannot be cloned. Psi cannot be cloned into psi. And there are proof exists from the linearity, unitarity, and no signaling principle. Similarly, an arbitrary unknown, if you are given two unknown quantum states, there will not exist any perfect deleter which will delete one of the states. So this was done by Professor Pati in the year 2000 in Nature, and the similar kind of proof also exists. So so quantum information you cannot clone. How does it? Quantum information you cannot clone, you cannot delete, right? So how does it help? If you cannot clone it properly, it helps in the security aspect of it. So anybody cannot clone. So it's quantum information are more of private in nature. Once you have this information, nobody can, unless nobody can replicate that information. So this is what no cloning of theorem states. And it is very important to know that an arbitrary unknown quantum state. So if you do not know about the state, you cannot copy that state. Similarly, it is also for arbitrary unknown quantum state. If you do not know about these two states, you cannot copy that state. So similarly, there are other indivisible operations are there, like partial erasure of quantum information is not possible. You cannot, even a Bloch sphere, you can always write quantum information in psi, theta, and phi. So you cannot partially erase psi and theta. Similarly, splitting of quantum information you cannot do. In Bloch sphere, you can write psi, theta, phi, and so you cannot split this information about theta and phi, right? And similarly, you cannot do the partial swapping of this quantum information, right? So all these, there are many no-go theorems, hiding, masking of quantum information. So these are all the impossibility of cloning, impossibility of deletion. So they make a very strong part of the quantum information theory, which actually tells you that with the because of these kind of quantum states, they are more private and secure and useful for cryptographic purpose. So this is more or less a summary of the talk that I have given. Information is physical and no longer an abstract mathematical quantity. And it depends upon the collapse of the system that is happening in the lab. Quantum effects like entanglement and superpositions make quantum information special, and we can do information processing tasks which I have never thought of. And similarly, we can do certain things which make we cannot do certain things in quantum information, which in a sense will make quantum information more private and secure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Really, that's a very enriching experience for all of us today. Sir, we have noted down few points that I would like to present before you, that we have the takeaways of the session. Yeah. Sir, you introduced us to the basic concept of uncertainty with a very good example of 3 examples: sun rises in the east and phone rings in half an hour and slow fall. That was that make us mind very clear which way we are moving ahead. Then you have introduced us superposition, Stern-Gerlach experiment, and then entanglement, correlation between the 2 systems. And then then we were introduced to the 3 concepts, that quantification, detection of the entanglement, and then geometrical discord. How beside entanglement we were introduced to dissonance and discord, maybe in short, but we were introduced to it. Possibilities in the entanglement that helped us in the factor like teleportation, superdense coding, and broadcasting. We have understood to a very deeper extent with what the content you have presented to us. And the impossibilities in quantum computing, really, though they are impossibilities, but they are like a boon to us, and they help us in privacy and security and performance. Thank you, sir, for such a detailed talk. We have enriched our knowledge in the field of quantum computing. Thank you once again from the CBIT family. I thank you all, sir.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you, Professor Reddy. Thank you, Mamata ma'am. It's great experience over here talking with you, and there are so many questions, and it's very interesting for me to discuss things with you all.
Yeah.
Sir,
we hope to hear you again, sir.
I'm very thankful to you, sir. I know, sir, we are busy with some other preoccupied works. Even though you given the time to present the lecture, sir, all we are happy about your lecture. And sir, if time permits, I will meet you personally. Then,
sure. That will be great honor. Please.
Yes, sir.
So thank you, sir. Once
thank
again.
you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yes. There is a chat, I think. 1 minute, I'll read out.
Yes.
Yes. Sir, everyone is very happy and they are thanking you, sir. Thanks once again from behalf of all the participants.
Thank you, all of you.
All the participants can take a break of some 10 minutes and we'll join again for the next session, which will start at 12:30. Thank you, one and all. Thank you, sir.